All right, welcome. I just want to talk about five really young guys that have really impressed me so far this year. Small sample size, but are off to pretty solid starts, in my opinion. Four of the five guys I have on the board were rookies last year and finished somewhere in that Calder, which is Rookie of the Year voting. I want to start off with Connor Bedard. This dude it just continues to grow his game. He's only 19. I did not pick him to win the Calder Trophy last year. He obviously did. Um, but nonetheless, this dude with actual line mates, he's looked good. His shot still looks excellent. Though he only has one goal, he'll score more. His playmaking ability has, I think, improved quite a bit. It was good last year. It's very good this year. 5 games, he has 1 goal, 6 assists, 7 points so far. He's a +3. And I think his line mates kind of allow him to not necessarily focus too much on defense. His defense is still kind of a question mark. It's still a bit of a liability on the ice. But again, this kid is 19. That'll come. But he does need to learn the defensive side of the game. Being a centerman and all, it's kind of important. I think that'll come. I think he's making improvements. Again, he's still young. It's going to take time. Learning defense at an NHL level usually is the most challenging thing for these younger players that come into the league, at least to learn. I've been impressed with Connor Bedard so far. He's been absolutely fantastic. This could be a season where it wouldn't surprise me if he hit 90 points. I know he's not quite on pace to hit 90 points just yet, but he might. So we'll see. Something to keep an eye on. Next up is Marco Rossi of the Minnesota Wild. And to be fair, the first couple games he got off to kind of a slow start. But in 4 games played, 1 goal, 3 assists, 4 points. He's a +3. Marco Rossi looks a lot more confident last year. He looks a lot more stronger, and he came into last year looking much stronger than he did in his NHL debut. But he looks even more strong, even more confident. Playing an excellent 200-foot game. His defensive game is fantastic, but we're seeing more of that playmaking ability that Marco Rossi was a high draft pick for. I think he was 9th overall. I've been impressed with this kid so far. I think there's still room for him to grow. I don't think this is a ceiling, but if we get a point per game out of Marco Rossi this year, should he stay on that first line, I think that's a fantastic that's fantastic value right there for a guy you weren't sure was going to pan out at the NHL level just 2 years ago, or even like a year and a half ago. Connor Zary of the Calgary Flames. This dude is good. There's no doubt about it. He plays a complete 200-foot game. Very good in the defensive zone. Can help drive offense of his line. In 4 games played, he has 2 goals, 3 assists. He has 5 points. He's a +2. Yeah, this dude keeps growing and keeps getting better. He was a lot of fun to watch, and you really noticed him flying up and down the ice when you watch Calgary Flames games. This guy is legit. He's going to be good. And I remember a lot of Calgary fans being upset he wasn't really super considered in the Calder voting this past year. It was mostly based on games played and total points and such. If he played a full season, he might have been in that Calder, the Calder finals or something. I don't know. But nonetheless, this kid looks legit. He looks fantastic. Calgary's got a good dude on their hands right there. Next up, Joel Hofer of the St. Louis Blues. Now, there's no secret. I love Hofer. I absolutely love him. 2 games played. He's 2-0, a .937 save percentage. One was a shutout. One, I believe, he let in 3 goals. So 1.98 goals against, and again a shutout. But this dude looks absolutely fantastic. I would not be surprised if he takes over the starting job in St. Louis from Binnington this year. Yeah, I'm a big Hofer fan. I think every time I watch him, there's always like a weak spot that the other team starts to expose, and then the next game I watch, that weak spot is gone. It's one of his strengths. So this is a guy that continues to work on his development, continues to evolve with the game, and I think he's looked fantastic. And I think he has a future. I'd be surprised if he was one of the goaltenders that really started to regress into his second year, as many do. So we'll see, but I absolutely love Joel Hofer. I'm not a Blues fan by any means, but Hofer is he's legit. He's good. He's a lot of fun to watch in the crease and the net. Last up, who is not a rookie, is Shane Wright. Now, Shane Wright's only played 5 games this year. No surprise. He has 1 goal, 1 assist for 2 points, but he is a +4. Shane Wright he was very noticeable. The 2 Seattle Kraken games I watched this year, he was very good. He was playing a very solid 200-foot game. He was getting back, covering for defense, being physical, getting in those gritty areas, winning board battles. He looks like a power forward. I'm not actually sure of his height and weight, and that's okay. But this dude has a lot of skill, and I think what's he, only 20 years old or something? It might take him a little longer to progress, but nonetheless, he looks good. It wouldn't surprise me. I don't know what his ceiling is. I don't know if he'll ever be a point per game guy, but he could very well be like a 60+ point guy if he's on the first line with the right pieces around him. Or maybe even a second line player. But Shane Wright looks very good, and I know a lot of people still call him a bust to this day. And based on the stats, you would assume that. But based on watching him in his play, he's a difference maker on the ice for the Kraken, and I think they're fortunate to have a guy that's progressed to a point where he has and looks as good as he has. And he's probably not going to be like the driver of the offense, but he's a very, very solid supplemental piece. And at 4th overall, it's not a bad deal. Last guy I forgot to put up on the board was Uri Slafkovsky of the Canadiens. I don't know his stats. I haven't looked. But I've seen him play 1 game against the Bruins, actually. He was physical. He was really filling into his body. He was confident. He was kind of being a bit of a pest, kind of like Brad Marchand to an extent. Whether you hate Marchand or not, there's plenty of people in the NHL that are just like him. I say that as a biased Bruins fan, of course. But nonetheless, Slafkovsky riding that line a bit, some later hits, but confident, aggressive, getting underneath the skin of the other team, which is a part of the game, but also very skilled with the stick as well. This is another guy who's really growing into his own and is going to turn some heads. If you don't watch Canadiens hockey, he's going to start putting up some serious points. I don't know what his point totals are this year. I have not looked. I don't know, but again, this is a guy that plays a 200-foot game, drives back into the defensive zone, not necessarily fantastic in the defensive zone, but gets to those gritty areas, wins those board battles, will help out his defensive forward or defenseman, and try to clear the puck out or carry the puck out. This guy is good. He's young. He'll continue to get better with age, and we see progression from him every single year or every single month, I want to say. This dude just keeps getting better, and it's starting to show why he was the 1st overall pick. He's good. So that's kind of a quick summary of 6 guys. You got a bonus one in there. I've been impressed with so far. Again, I'm one human. I don't watch every single game because I feel like, at least for me, I miss a lot of what's going on in every game. If I'm watching too many, at most I'll watch 2, but usually I like to stick to 1 and really watch who's on the ice and all that such. Again, there are guys I'll be missing from up here. It's just kind of a spur of the moment video of guys I've just thought of and been impressed with so far. That's what I got. There are probably other guys that deserve to be on this list, and then there are guys where I really haven't been impressed so far. I'm not going to make a video on that. I don't want to put anyone down, especially because we're only a few games into the season. Players do get off to slow starts. It's not an absurd thing that doesn't happen. Like it happens. Right? It happens to superstars, happens to 4th liners. It happens. So I'm not going to make a video on that, but I just want to highlight some positive play from some of these young guys. I think the young crop that has been coming into the NHL the past few years it's been extremely skilled and fun to watch, honestly. So that's all I got. I appreciate you. Take care, all right?